Hello, my presentation today is going to be about a recurrent program we have here in my home state, Florida. The one that recently affected us not once but twice this month, like a back-to-back story. These usually happen every year. Sometimes it's bad, sometimes it isn't. I am talking about hurricanes. Florida is very susceptible to this kind of nature disasters. His geography that made it to run into the Gulf of Mexico made it very close and on the favorite region for hurricanes. The hurricane season begins on June 1st and runs until November 30, but September and October are the favorite months for this to happen because of the hot water on the Gulf of Mexico during this part of the year make it more favorable for hurricane to develop. We just received one this week and the images are very catastrophic. The most important thing is to be informed about how bad it's going to be, where will be the contact point on land, and to know if you need to evacuate, know your evacuation zone, the intensity category that the hurricane that is coming has, and the risk of winds, flooding, and electricity hazards. The loss of value is usually very high. Millions of people have been without electricity and water for days. Many have also lost their homes, but the most important thing is life. I will be sharing information about things that are the most important to know if you want to prevent loss of life and to be ready with this natural disaster. So why is it important to follow the government directions? Some people undervalue or misinterpret the importance and dangers that these natural events represent, and these are the cases where human life is lost. To prevent it, you need to know how dangerous it could be and why you need to leave if your home is in a specific area of flooding. To know the risk you are facing, you should find your evacuation zone. The government has a designated website where you can type your address and it will tell you the zone you belong. The zones run from A to F, making A the most dangerous and close to the sea, and as a consequence, Zone A knows there will always be mandatory evacuation with every single hurricane. The second most important things to know is how intense the hurricane will be. The more intense they are, the more disaster they will bring. Hurricanes run on a Saffir-Simpson scale from 1 to 5, and all of them will bring high winds, rain, and surge. Category 1 is the least damage possible, but still can damage trees, power lines. Category 2, winds can go up to 110 miles per hour, and some storm surges and abnormal sea levels can be experienced. Category 3 is the one that we recently experienced with Hurricane Milton. Winds were up to 129 miles per hour, and buildings can be severely damaged, especially the ones that are at the front sea. The categories 4 and 5 are kind of the same, just that winds keep escalating at the level of disaster is huge. Now, the most important part is to know what we can do to prevent damage to our homes and ourselves, how to prepare before and after the hurricane to mitigate loss of life and be safe. From the FEMA website, which is the Federal Emergency Management Agency, there are a few points you should follow to prevent fatalities. Let's mention some of them. Do not walk on the street during the hurricane. Traffic signs, roofing material, and other items become flying missiles and can hit yourself. Individuals who live closest to the coast are subject to the highest risks of a storm, a surge, and the strongest winds. So evacuation is mandatory to prevent drowning, because drowning is the leading cause of hurricane-related deaths. If your house gets flooded, try to keep out of water to prevent electrocution or disconnect your main break on the house. Some other protective actions that are important are the ones that will help us after the hurricane. Do not drive on flood roads. Occasionally low levels can be hidden underwater and you could fall and drown. Source waters are usually contaminated and bring a lot of bacteria and debris. Do not touch the water, especially if you have cuts of abrasion. Plan as possible all your medical needs you could experience during and after the hurricane. Plan your transportation, shelter, food, gas, and water, which are usually limited resources after these events. Now, as the last point, I want to show a graph from Wikipedia that states the amount of people that have died on the most dangerous hurricane in histories. As you can see, many of them were like almost 100 years ago, which means organization and information as these meteorological events were vague and basic. Many lives have been lost, but in the most recent decades, we have learned and informed better, creating action plans to help everyone to keep safe and dry during these natural disasters.